All right, everybody, what's going on out there on the internet? This is Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide, the open world Final Fantasy VI, or as some may know it, Final Fantasy III Randomizer. I am your host, the Schwantz27, and we got a little skirmish action going on for you, and as you could sort of hear in the background, it's Zozo time. So the Zozo territory, as we pick up the map for our Battlegrounds flag set here, you can see that Zozo is currently under the control of the Empire. So in order for them to hold on to this control here, what the Empire needs to do is their top 8 times must be better than the top 6 times of the returners. So we will see how that is going to shake out towards the end of the week here. However, you could see over on the right-hand side of the map, we have 1, 2, 3 returner-controlled Eastern territories. So the Eastern Empire flag set has been exposed this week. So Eastern Empire is a possibility for being taken by the returners. We also have Triangle Island up in the upper right-hand corner being fought over, as well as Jador over in the west, to go along with Zozo. So 4 different territories this week, and right now the Empire has control of Zozo. So what does that mean? Well, our runners, Jesus the Frog, representing the Empire, and Drinks Glue, representing the returners, will battle it out in a little skirmish here. And for the Zozo flag set, we start off with 3 different characters. We have to get to 7 of them, plus 9 Espers, and set the Zozo clock for unlocking Final Kefka. So it's a super interesting Final Kefka unlock because you do have to hit up Zozo at some point to set the randomized clock. And we want to usually route that in with doing either Terra or Cyan's check, because we'll be in the area anyway. The second thing is Kefka Tower Skip is recruiting 9 characters and quote-unquote Gao. So the other cool thing about this flag set is the characters may not be who you think they are. So that'll certainly be interesting as we go along. I will try and keep you appraised as to which character palettes are which, because the sprites and palettes are shuffled. In here, there's also the unique aspect of having normalize and distort for our monsters, and steals and drops are shuffled, plus 100% random, so you can't rely on the vanilla drop tables. That'll be super duper interesting. I'm going to tell our runners to good luck and have fun, as we're going to start up the race here in just a second. Also with encounters, the chests are 100% random, which is very enticing. However, each chest has a 5% chance of proccing a random encounter monster in a box. So that is something that our runners are going to have to be cognizant of as we are often going here. We have Go-Go and Shadow, which is actually Sabin and Edgar, the Figa Bros. So we've got a Rage for Shadow's character. We do have Tyrannosaur, which is a really nice early Rage. That is Meteo. Yes, that thing that hits you a tier 3. So that's very nice. Outsider. Nope, that's Madam that I'm thinking of that has Pearl. So we got some pretty interesting Rages early on. We have Bakht Set as well, with regular Meteor, not Meteo. And we'll see where our runners decide to go. As I mentioned, we do start off with 2 characters, and we have to get to 7. And we do have technically Edgar and Sabin in this flag set. So that'll be pretty interesting here. One of our runners is going to head to the Narsh shed there, that's Drinks Glue, while the other one heads over into World of Ruin, South Figaro. Now, if you have Edgar at the front of your party, whoever Edgar actually is, and maybe I should get the actual race up to see who is who. I believe that our Edgar is, let's scroll down here, scrolling. So Edgar is Shadow and Sabin is Go-Go. So if you have Shadow at the front of your party, you will get a half-off discount here in the World of Ruin South Figaro, as well as the Figaro Castle, either way. So Yeah, the auto tracking thing definitely goes a long way to help you out. Either that or you have to memorize the individual, sprite swaps here. And Drinks Glue heading over to the Elder's house with those 100% shuffled chests. Chests are way more valuable than shops in this one because, folks, you get $0 for selling items in shops. So that's one of the other interesting things about this flag set is shops are only 20% random. There are cheap Super Balls, however, you cannot sell your items for any money. Equipment and relics are also shuffle plus 15% random, so it may not be the case that our Edgar can equip all of the best beefy swords here. It'll have to depend on what the RNGesus decided. And here's our first random encounter in a battle, and oh, it's a Gigantos! This is a really nice one if Jesus the Frog can get through this one here. Going to use Blitz on Gogo, aka Sabin, and is going to use that Tyrannosaur Rage for Shadow, aka Edgar. Lots of XP potential here if Jesus gets through this fight. So this is a really good one to find early on. Oh, the miss. So one of the bad things about Meteo is that it does have a very low hit rate. Unfortunately, you would think with rocks coming down from space, they would hit, sort of all the time. So this will be a little bit of a slog to get through because in our stats here, we've got characters, espers, and dragons times 2. So this is a level 4 Gigantos, 4 or so. So not, all of the XP in the world, but still the best XP per level boss. And Jesus is getting a little bit unlucky here, as Glue is deciding that he's going to nope out of this little encounter here. The good thing about this Gigantos is even with the throat jab, it doesn't seem to be doing all that much, because I've seen some pretty decent armor early on here. Nobody War pointing out in the chat, be on the lookout for the Stray Cat. Yes, the Stray Cat is definitely something to look out for. And YMPC is set to random, so we had a pink-looking Sid in the Returner's hideout there. Yep, get out of my way, Returner guy. So anyway, yeah, Zozo is a very interesting flag set as Jesus pulls through there. Jesus the Frog, getting some Tiger Fangs, which is normally not the vanilla drop for the Gigantos. Remember I mentioned that drops plus steals are 100% shuffled here. So Jesus making a good stop. He's already at level 10 here, so he's going to go ahead and hit the save, because save early, save often, folks, especially in this flag set where you never know what monster in a box is going to come out of a chest here. Yeah, so it's 5% random monster in a boxes. So if you loot 100 chests, you'll get into 5 fights. Most people tend to be around 60 to 70 range, or at least that's what I try to be around. So that ends up being 3 or so-ish fights per looting run here. Obviously, if you open more chests, there's much more chance. We got some Dragoon Boots and an Atlas Armlet there in the World of Balance South Figaro weapon shop. So the first 5 to 10 minutes of any Worlds Collide seed is usually looting and shopping, and in this case, it's going to take a little longer because we are going to find those random encounters in the monster in a boxes here. But the good news is, if you find the right one, as looks like Drinks Glue might be heading downstairs to find that Gigantos one sooner rather than later. If you find the right ones, it eliminates your need for trying to grind altogether totally. So yeah, last week's Zozo flag set was real rough, with Tritok gating our first character at the end of the Burning House. And we did learn a fire spell, but from the Search the Sky spot, and there were some Super Balls available in shops. Remember, Super Balls on the cheap. And it looks like we've picked up an Imp Halberd and a Titanium here for Jesus the Frog. So it's possible we could have some Imp Dragoon strats, which I love to see. Alright, Jesus decides to take off the Moogle Charm. I'm just going to call him Frog. Jesus the Frog here. These Dante enemies, they could actually, they're actually undead, so you could just drop a Revivify on them and, oh no, Gigantos with the Quake! Double kill! taking out both of Glue's players right there. One thing besides the normalize and distort for boss stats is that the enemy ability scaling is random. So the elemental abilities that they throw out at you can be different from what you're used to. And that's exactly what happened there, as Glue unfortunately did not save before heading down the stairs like a banana in pajama, and that means he is back out and having to redo this loot all over again. It seems like the Jesus, as we're going to call him now, from Big Lebowski, grabs an economizer drop from those little bugs. So that's a really nice pickup to find, especially early on in the seed. We don't have any magic spells yet, but that is something we could certainly be on the lookout for here. Yeah, 100% random drops can get you some wild stuff, but it also can throw you off if you're, if you're going to be looking for something, right? Like, you no longer need to go find that Katana Soul monster in the box. You're not going to get the offering, or probably won't get the offering. So, all right, Glue going back for this Gigantos fight again. Let's see if he could survive long enough this time to catch him. I think Jesus El Froggerito. I don't know what frog is in Spanish. I should brush up on it. Anyway, Jesus had a snow muffler on his Go-Go, aka Sabin, so that's why he was able to survive so long in this Gigantos fight there. Oh, pulling out the Doom Rage strat. Very nice. There we go. Look at that. It is Rana indeed. Thank you very much, Boo. I'm bad at my Spanish animals, apparently. So, just to point out in the seed, shops are only 20% random here, and you cannot sell things for any money. So, all this stuff that we're picking up out of chests is completely worthless unless we're actually using it on our characters, which is a very interesting wrinkle for this flag set. That also means you're not going to get any money unless you do some fighting. Or you get really lucky and pull one of the money chests out. And Pero que Nariz is hopped into the commentary booth. What's going on? How are you?
Hey, Schwan's just providing some help. Also, returners rating the restream.
Yes, of course. I should have known better to try Spanish when you were in the chat on Restream. So
that's actually pretty good.
Yeah. So what are you seeing so far out of our runners here, besides the normal looting route here? It looks like Jesus has certainly jumped out to the early lead, with Glue taking that awful reset to the first Gigantos fight.
With this flag set, you cannot have any certainty. We still haven't fought any bosses, and one of the very nasty things that this flag set has to offer is a good old normalize and distort. So bosses are not gonna be like anything that you're used to. They're gonna have like a random HP, and that's gonna come into play, especially in the final fight. Can be really ugly. So we can see some swings here, so don't take anything for granted.
Yeah, it is still very early. We are 10 minutes into what historically in some of the practice seeds that I've seen, and even the Zozo flag set last week was at about 2 hours. So it was. Strap yourselves in, folks. Grab some popcorn. It's gonna be a long ride here. So in addition to normalize and distort, our bosses have random ability scaling, which is actually much more difficult than it seems, because we normally have resistances to the main three elements, right? Fire, ice, thunder through shields and other elemental relics and things like that. But if bosses are throwing out things like, Quake with Gigantos that he did, or some wind spells that we're not ready for, it could be a pretty rough time here. So for those of you that are just joining us, this is a skirmish between our Empire on the left-hand side, Jesus the Frog, and our returner
Ooh,
on the
Empire.
right-hand side, Drinks Glue. So bringing up the map real quick, before Drinks Glue shows us what's on the throne, we do see that Zozo is under the Empire control. It's one of the contested flags for this particular week, as well as the Eastern Empire is under the Empire's control, but with the 3 Eastern territories that have been captured by returners, it is open for action. And let me get this off the screen so we can see what is the ghost on the throne. Oh, it's calmness protection. There we go.
Nice.
Always happy to see that relatively early on. And it looks like I think we're going to do the Edgar loop of checks here with the South Figaro cave down into the engine room and then perhaps Ancient Castle.
I like Edgar checks. I know I'm in the minority, but especially when you're...
Yes, you are definitely in the minority.
We have juicy loot.
That's true.
It's kind of worth going. Engine check has 4 chests, very quick to grab.
Yep.
And with high randomness in chests and the shops being what they are in this flag set, I would think about grabbing the engine room. Also pickable, which is another plus.
Yes, for sure. You could take a look at what is being chased by your gang of thieves that Gerard, right, is doing in the vanilla game here. So
Jesus the Frog going for those very far away chests.
Yeah,
Damn.
well, you said it, 100% random, and this is the world of balance, not the world of ruin. So it looks like he's grabbing a little more levels here. So just to catch up, you see on the tracker Sabin and Edgar, but wait, you see Gogo and Shadow. Yes, that is one of the quirks of the Zozo flag set, is that the character names, portraits, and sprites have been randomized. So Shadow today is Edgar, and Gogo today is Sabin. So going back to the map here, yes, over on Triangle Island, if you don't have PTSD from those guys on the map, then you obviously haven't done the Zone Eater check long enough. So those are the chancellors that throw you off there. And we've got, Maria over at Jador and Rachel over at Kolingen. I had Siegfried up at Dragon's Neck, the thief guy at Zozo, what's her name, over at Doma, Elaine. I had a Lobo on the Veld, and I had Gung Ho at Thamasa. So that was my cool little map, but now with 100% more sprites. Anyway, Drinks Glue is heading into the Imperial camp. I like this play early on because there are no bosses here. It's 4 forced encounters, so it's a nice way to get XP without having to deal with those normalized and distorted bosses you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good idea to get some early grind for safety, Otherwise, it's gonna be a very reset-heavy run.
Yeah, here's a nice one as well. Undead enemy.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Unfortunately,
throw a Revivify on them.
He only has 3 Phoenix Downs and no Revivify, so he was clearly not prepared for this. Meanwhile, Jesus the Frog picking up their golem there. Very nicely done. And does have Shadow at the front of the party, who I believe is Edgar. Let me just double check that. Yep, Shadow is Edgar. So he's going to get half off these shops that discount. Very nice, especially in this seed. One of the more underrated things about this seed is that you can't sell things for money. And I'm finding when I'm doing my runs, I don't know about you, but when I'm finding with my runs that I'm running out of money real fast all the time.
Yeah, so that's one other deterrent for shops, is that money is so scarce that you basically end up relying on loot. And in my case, I also tend to steal a lot more in this kind of flag set. Also, steals are randomized, so if you have something like a Thief Knife, Steel Command, or even Capture Offering, that could really pay off if you get, 6 Bs and you can steal, 4 offerings from them or something like that. You can get some crazy luck. Actually, last week we had a burning house with tricksters, and they dropped mega elixirs. So basically, doing burning house basically solved all your end game healing. That was pretty fun.
All right. Well, I didn't exactly see what was on Glue's screen, but looking at his tracker on Restream, because I could cheat like that, That was an Esper. So he picked up a second Esper there at the Imperial camp. Not sure what's on it. I don't think any of our runners have shown us anything. And yeah, we do also have a possibility. We saw...
What's Fenrir?
It's our other calmness protection. Speed +2 on that Golem Esper there. We did also see a pickup of Imp Halberd and Titanium and Tortoise Shield, and there was some Dragoon Boots for sale in a shop. So I'm hoping we see an Imp tonight, but you know the stars have to align a little bit for that. That's one of my favorite strats that takes way too long to set up, but who cares? It's fun, and we're all about fun here, aren't we?
Been playing for a year, I pulled off Imp strats twice. Is the Senor Behemoth on the waterfall?
It's Sriracha Behemoth, Sir Behemoth,
shooting
Senor
missiles.
Behemoth. Yeah, that's that random ability scaling there.
Yep.
So we already saw that Drinks Glue pulled out the nice vanilla game knowledge with the Doom Rage. We'll see if he's saving that for the second phase of SR Behemoth here.
Also, this enemy can be very, very nasty because of the random scaling. If you attack them with Flare Pearl, they counter with Meteor on the vanilla game, and that can scale very, very dangerously. So I don't know what can Senor Behemoth do if you hit it with one of those abilities.
Yeah,
we shall see.
So that's why he's leaving Fire 3 for the time being, or Fire 2 rather. All right, we'll see if he pulls out the Doom Rage here.
There he goes.
And now it's just got to hit.
Yeah, well, that's a whole different topic.
All right, so Jesus the Frog going to get their other calmness protection after doing these couple of grind fights, and we're pretty even so far. So go give those runners a follow. There's their links in the chat there, as Glue continues to miss with Doom. This is always feels bad when your character doesn't do what they want it to do. It's this and the Coliseum AI, right?
I mean, this is not too bad, but when you fail 5 excellence in a row in the final Kefka, that can get really ugly.
Oh yeah, for sure.
There you go.
You can absorb, a miss once or twice, but I think that was like 5 or so turns before we finally got it off.
Yeah. That's when you start appreciating stuff like Air Anchor or Cleave. I love guaranteed instant death.
We did learn Life 3 as well for Glue, so I'm pretty sure that is probably on the Fenrir Esper that we picked up off of the Imperial camp there. And we'll see what's at the bottom of our waterfall. Ew. Just an elemental shield.
I mean, I'm not too mad about that one.
No.
I mean, if I'm gonna get a death check, at least it's not like Marvel shoes or Genji helmet.
Yeah, that's very true. Glue going in the Imperial forest from the top. Bold strategy here, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him. So the only reason you should ever go in through the top entrance is if you've already defeated the Phantom Train and you're looking, or you've already did the check and you're looking for Ghost Train the boss to do like the Suplex the Train quest. Because you can go back into the Phantom Forest after you've completed this check and you could always fight Ghost Train. That's one of the quirks of one of those objectives there. And yes, you can grind it if you really want to. Ooh, we are not going to keep that. No thank you. Say goodbye to the Mario hat.
I was looking at the wizards on Jesus' screen, and then I remember that the drops are randomized, so you can now get rods out of them. And one thing that happened me, and probably many others, the last week on...
That was 2 fixed dice there.
Oh, nice. I was hunting for Katana Soul, and I killed it, and it dropped a tincture.
Oh, here's another
the cash
Gigantos.
was useful.
Alright, well, Jesus hitting the jackpot here. Gigantos and a random monster in a box, and then here in the Imperial camp as well.
All the XP.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Mount Colt is the play for Glue here. We're sticking in the world of balance and just walking around doing, cleaning out all of Sabin's checks here, it looks like. And there it is, more XP.
What kind of running low in checks? This one should be a character, right? Or
so we still have the Ancient Castle, we have the Engine Room, we have Collapsing House, Kefka at Narsh, and Mount Colts. So those are our checks we haven't seen. So 5 of them.
Okay, I'll rephrase. We're running out of desirable checks.
Yes, very true. Yeah, if I could never do Edgar's checks, that's a good seed for me. But all right, and it looks like, yeah, Barren Falls is the next place. So runners are following each other, and right now, Glue appears to be ahead by doing more checks. But remember, he does not, I don't think, have as high of levels as Jesus does, especially with those Gigantos fights. And this is not going to be a fun fight here, although we do have Bolt too. So never mind.
Yeah. Well, actually, this flag set is not too hard on the scaling. I think it's 2x, not 2.5 like the others.
Correct.
The main problem here is not so much the scaling, but the distortion and the random scaling. That can get really out of hands.
Yeah. Random ability scaling. Although I don't think Marshall, he doesn't really cast anything, right? He just does stop, right?
Oh, yeah. It's just a net. Yeah.
Ooh, a couple of flame shields from that as well. Very nice. So we don't ever have to worry about our defensive gear here.
And have a Hamlet. Yeah, that's Merton protection, basically, for Glue, I think.
Yep, exactly, Pepperoni. The randomizer is under no obligation to put progression on the desirable checks. That's part of the fun of the game, is trying to figure out the puzzle piece, you know? Well, X-Zone action, you were speaking about that earlier on that Bahamut with Magic Power +1. Nice to find very early on in the game to boost those stats up. And we're heading over to the World of Ruin because we're done with all of our World of Balance checks aside from Kefka at Narsh. So, it looks like Glue is going to take the Edgar loop. And we're down to 4 checks. Kefka at Narsh, Collapsing House, or the 2 Edgar things. So, as you mentioned, we could go and peek this check here. Do we reset out if it's not a character and try Collapsing House? I think that's what I would do, is I'm now in a hunt for my next character. If this isn't a character, I reset, then I go to Collapsing House and peek it. If that's not a character, I go to Kefka at Narsh. And then if none of those 3 have my character, I know it's an Ancient Castle. Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes
I
knowledge is power.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I wouldn't reset if I didn't grab the throne check. But if both of the players have grabbed the throne, so yeah, it's basically pick and go.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know about you, but I'm finding in a lot of these 2 character start seeds that I'm looking more for where's my next character all the time, you know, versus trying to figure out what the best timed check is. So, you know, I'm certainly on the knowledge is power. Don't, you know, it might be a little bit of a time waste to go and peek these things, but now I know I could put them off for later, right, when I get my characters.
Yeah, the impact of 3 characters versus 2 is too big, I'd say. I would do the same.
All right, nobody can wear the Force Armor, unfortunately, to cut that magic against you in half, but we have Elemental Shields.
Yeah. Yeah, to add some madness to this flag set, not only the sprites are randomized, but also the equipment is shuffled, which means your Terra that looks like Sabin might wear Umaro's gear.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely ridiculous.
It's madness. All right, and here's a big beefy boy with Funbaba. And unfortunately, we have Bolt 2. I know we learned fire spells, and it looks like we're going to rely on some Rage and Meteo. Go throwing up that golem there. I like that play, just to keep all the physical attacks out of the way. The problem is, Funbaba's going to counter everything with some sort of spell. And normally it's a lightning spell. So normally you could just
be
go,
anything.
hey, let's go put my thunder shields on, right? Not this time.
Yeah, so far we have Snowball, Fire.
Yeah, we're getting both sides. Here's a tech ability.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that certainly makes boss fights more interesting and tips it on its head. But it also, adds to the randomness too, right? 'Cause you can't really predict what the heck's going to happen.
Yep. And again, with the normalize and distort, anything could happen. There have been many wipes in Zozo flagset last week at the final Kefka, so...
Yeah, I think last week, I think I remember getting Merton cast on me, and I think it was like 2,900 damage, and I'm like, wow. Thankfully, I had one or two elemental resistance things on, but my party would have been completely dead had I not.
Yeah, there's a tier 3 is really brutal. You get Girl, which could have, like, last week it had like 20,000 HP.
Yeah, it was a
just
lot.
Absurd. And Meteor hit me for like 2.5k per character. It's just, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, extra levels are gonna go a long way in order to survive tier 3. So let's see what happens in this run.
Yeah, it just throws you off your game because these are numbers you're not used to seeing, right? Normally it's, 1,600, 1,400 for Meteor. When it's coming out at almost twice as much, it then becomes a bit of a problem there. All right, Big Beefy Boy is finally down here.
Nice.
Meanwhile, you see Jesus's levels versus Glue's levels here. Basically one-shotting those robotic enemies here. Another Esper there. That's Palador, so that brings him up to 4. And we'll have to see if our progression is at Ancient Castle, or if it's in another castle. I had to do it. It was right there.
As long as it's not like one character Kefka Narsh fight. Ugh, that's always so annoying.
Yep. There it is. Bahamut for Jesus.
In that juicy magic power boost.
All right, we'll see if we get some divergence here. If he decides to go to either Collapsing House or Kefka at Narsh. I wouldn't anticipate Kefka at Narsh because, as you mentioned, that's kind of disgusting right now to go there with just a party of 2. But I certainly did that in last week's flag set, trying to look for a character at Kefka at Narsh instead of going through Tritalk at the end of the Burning House. Alright, so it looks like we're going to get a Phantom Train peak for our Mario hat, and we'll reset out of there. And if it's not an Ancient Castle, then, we're going to Collapsing House, because it's right there. And, as you mentioned, it's a lot less undesirable. Strength plus 2.
Runners haven't picked any Collapsing House yet, since it's so fast to pick.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those philosophy questions. Do you like to save your peekable checks for the end when you only need one type of progression over another? Or do you do it right away because Collapsing House is super duper fast? Right?
Yeah, so in this case, this flag set is interesting. So Collapsing House could have a character and also has a ton of loot, which is super valuable in this flag set. So I don't know. It's a big one. I would do that earlier for sure.
But the monster in a boxes are not nearly. Oh, there's an offering for half off at the World of Ruin South Figaro shop with Shadow in the front of the party. So
yeah,
I think Glue got the fixed ice drops. Maybe I don't remember who did. But that's certainly something you could do. And there's an Atma weapon drop from that monster in a box.
And
all
two
right,
more.
So now we're getting our goodies online here.
Nice.
Yeah.
That Atma weapon, that offering will be huge for Glue if he finds it.
Yeah, it's in a pretty convenient spot there. Oh, and we got the Dragoon boots, and our character is not at Ancient Castle either. So, chat, we have a decision to make here, and a prediction. do we think our character is at Collapsing House or at Kefka at Narsh? And who do you think that character is going to be? You could either tell me the sprite or the actual character, because it's going to get confusing real fast. And there's that random ability scaling with the red dragon casting Blizzard. Fun. I'm going to go with Mog at Collapsing House. What about you, Pero?
It has to be Strago. It's always Strago when you're character gated.
Yeah, because then that makes it even worse, because then your check options get far worse.
But it's entertaining for the viewers.
Yeah,
at
for
least.
sure. I don't know if Jesus forgot that he has Moogle charms, or he's just trying to get some level. I mean, that is a strategy, is to just out-level the heck out of everything, like you mentioned.
Yeah. That and pray for random drops. Those Spectres could drop Illuminas, who knows?
That's true. That's true. We have seen a lot of great stuff, and it looks like we've got our Pogo, but not our Imp yet. We're almost there. We're getting there. We just have to whisper Imp. Say it with me now, chat. Imp. Alright, so here we go. Going to be actual Go-Go at Kefka at Narsh instead of the not Go-Go we have already. Sets are at Burning House. Collapsing House, there you go. Lock at Narsh. Umaro everywhere, every time. I mean, that could be possible. We could have Umaro the character at one spot and Umaro the sprite at another. And the game is going to play itself, but thankfully Glue gets one last hit in. I hate when that happens. You have your last character is uncontrollable and you're just like, welp, what do we do here? We win.
Yeah. The power of the dog.
Alright, so that is a shield that we don't need because we already have all other sorts of elemental shields. And our runners are going to do a high five here in the Edgar checks with Jesus the Frog going in, Drinks Glue coming out.
With all those random drops, Coliseum might be a thing late game. If you're scratching for that final piece of offense, maybe, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. We've gotten so much good stuff. We've had Atma Weapon, shields, fixed dice, offerings, imp strats. I'm going to keep bringing it up.
We'll see who can equip what, because I think Jesus the Frog got the fixed dice. And he's jumping, but he's not using the dice at all, so he might not be able to use it.
That is true. So that also is true. You might not be able to hold all of the imp equipment, although it is shuffle, and I believe all characters can naturally do the imp equipment, so it doesn't matter about the shuffle requirements. That was always fun doing like the draft seeds where it was like a balanced random number of people can equip things. So you could have people that equip boots but can't equip the horn. All that fun stuff. Funbaba on our engine spaghetti here.
See what Gulu is gonna do here.
Well, he's got two choices. And let's see if it's behind this choice here.
See who's holding the house for the past 35 minutes.
He's been holding it a long time. It's been 85 years, Rose. That's a ghost. Okay, so we're doing a one-character Kefka and Arshir. Hey, and there's the imp armor. So we got the full set. Oh, an offering in a chest too. Thank you. So we have the armor, the titanium, the shield, and the spear. Let's go. Somebody give me an imp. Otherwise, I'm going to be disappointed. I'm just going to download the seed and play it later. And just save it into my favorites,
Yeah. 100% random chests are very interesting because you do get a lot of high tier items, way more than you usually get in Ultra League, for example.
Right.
But in this flag set, when with 100% random chests, you don't get as many healables,
For
healable
sure.
items. And you cannot sell all those high tier items. So even if you loot like 10 offerings, you cannot sell the remainder.
No.
So unless you can bet them on the Coliseum or do other stuff, they're kind of sitting there doing nothing. So
Yeah.
you know,
I just hate how much stuff is in my inventory trying to scroll down and get to the thing I actually want. That's the real boss of this flag set is inventory management.
hold R for the win.
There you go. Alright, well, we don't have enough money for that Zen Thief, and we can't sell stuff to get money. As we have a really...
Jesus Bro just looted like a 16k out of a very obscure chest on the Ancient Castle.
Yeah. That's a pale Terra. Somebody better put her out in the sun for a little bit. The dreaded menu boss. Well, I mean, Pero, do you want to plug your app here now?
Oh, have you heard about our Lord and Savior Stats Companion? If you're, unless you're living under a rock, Stats Companion is an app I made, useful for tracking all sorts of statistics about the game, and it's available for downloading. You only need SNI, which pretty much everyone has if you're auto tracking. So if you want to see how much time you're wasting juggling espers, you can download it, do a run, and check it out.
Yeah, for sure. That is on my to-do list to download.
Yeah, and also very recently, Seto and I have been working together for adding Stats Companion compatibility to Stats Collide. So
Awesome.
you can upload to Stats Collide all the logs from Companion, and it will automatically populate all the fields for the data, and you can get a bunch of very fancy charts with all kinds of information.
Everybody loves charts.
Yeah.
Alright, so Glue is going to show us who our character at Kefka at Narsh is.
While Jesus fights the Red Dragon, so that on
Casting Blizzard. As per usual.
Oh, it gives me PTSD of Setzer Seeds back at Coliseum. It's gonna be Strago. It has to be Strago.
Well, I mean, it could be Strago the sprite, but not Strago the character. We'll still count it either way. Alright, it is Setzer. Who is Setzer in this seed? Let's find out. Setzer is... Where is Setzer? Setzer is Celeste.
Oh, not bad.
So, yeah, so then your choices are South Figaro Prisoner Opera House or Magitek 3 for your next character. So, it looks like Glue is going to send Shadow, aka Edgar, to fight the boss here.
One character boss can be really nasty. Let's see what we're up against. Oh, he failed the skip.
Yeah, I didn't hear the music change, and I'm like, oh, it's Ultros, thank God. Or worse, it's Tritalk, oh no. I wonder if Glue is just planning on saying, you know, I submit myself to the RNGesus, and I'm just going to use Rage Medio for this fight. I mean, he is doing a lot of damage to those enemies. 2 more Thunder Shields. Do you keep fighting this knowing that you're going to get Thunder Shields out of it, or do you just try and run away?
I mean, it's a very good offense, source of offense.
I don't think this is going to work. No. So I believe one of the Espers taught Flare. So if it is one of the difficult bosses in terms of magic casting, we at least have that out. And we have Bahamut.
He who shall not be named.
We have Bahamut too. And I believe we have access to Berserk if it gets real bad. You know, it's funny. I was saying earlier to somebody there aren't any unbeatable seeds, but there are definitely ones where it could be just a no thank you. And more Gigantos. The seed is just giving out XP here, Pero.
I never seen this many.
Glue decides
Also,
he
never
doesn't want
seen
the
this
XP.
many Exxon fails.
Oh, he didn't actually want to run away. He was just memeing. Alright, so he doesn't have Flare learned on this character, at least.
Well, let's pray it's leader.
Yeah.
Or some easy boss.
Okay, we could do this. There we go. What do we have? Ice shields. Throw them at the boss. There we go.
Nice.
One shot, one kill.
And we get a fixed Setzer for all the effort.
We get Setzer, aka Celeste. It's creepy that Celeste wants to cosplay as Setzer.
Yeah, just leave it there.
Jesus shown some good vanilla game knowledge. You could actually get a free heal if you go to the inn during this collapsing house sequence where these idiots need to move out of the way. How am I supposed to rescue the boy inside if you're in my way, idiots?
I would just put wire remove on every single flag set we have.
Alright, so did we see what Setzer aka Celeste actually has as the ability? I guess it doesn't really matter with all the stuff we have here.
Yeah.
Come on, Glue. Do the Imp Dragoon strat. You know you want to. Dance. Okay. So, nothing that we actually want. Yeah, so not only was there an offering in the collapsing house, there was a half-off offering. Try saying that 3 times fast. In World of Ruin South Figaro. So Jesus is going to get their 6th Esper and getting the bad news that we're going to have to 1v1 a boss at Kefka at Norsh. Game music up a bit. It's cranking at max right now. Maybe I just need to turn everything else down. How about that?
We're gonna see what's at the basement in South Figaro. And in the meantime, do a little bit of looting.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can do that here. Up, 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 up.
Glue finds the half-price offerings. Nice.
There you go.
No muffler sitting on a barrel at World of Ruin. South Figaro there. A Minerva on the other barrel.
Alright. I think that did it? Question mark? We'll see. All the looting today. That's just all we're doing. When it's 100%.
Basement has...
Hey! I did say Mog, but I was, one check too late.
It's Realm, right? Or because of the magic power?
Yes.
Like 54 magic power.
Yes, that is exact. You are exactly right. That is Realm.
Yeah, with lore.
There you go. Lore Realm. We've got an economizer too, I think. Question mark?
Oh, does she have Grand Train?
I mean, with 54 magic power, even Fire 2 is pretty good.
Yeah, that's one of the few good things about random scaling. Like any, minor boss can do Grand Train, or the dragons, or basically anything can Grand Train you at high levels.
Yeah, not fun.
So there's a good chance. There's a good chance you can learn the lore, which is, not a bad thing.
All right, so Jesus is in the wrong Narsh. He's in the World of Ruin Narsh, but he is going to take on this Tritok fight. So Tritok is not what we call character gated, but this check can never be a character. It can only be an Esper an item. And it's Ifrit Shiva, which is usually not that big of a deal, but with random scaling, as you mentioned, can be pretty dangerous. And this is not going to hurt Ifrit. Ifrit will nullify basically everything but ice, which is what he is weak to.
Yeah, this is not a fight you want to see when you don't have any ice magic here. Oh, he has an ice one. Never mind.
Well, it might take more than one, because remember, Normalize and Distort is on. There we go. Meanwhile, Glue is into the mansion. So this is not a check we could peek. If this was me, I would still be going after checks I could peek first, right? Which is Esper Mountain, in this case, for Realm. That is a peekable check.
Yeah, but I don't dislike the Auser move. Get a few extra levels here for safety.
There are 0 Espers in the auction house, however. So,
thank God.
Normally you could, well, the thing is, it makes Auser's Mansion that much better if you could pair this with the auction house, right? But in that case, you can't really do it here. And it looks like Jesus is learning the hard way that he's going to have to go to Kefka at Narsh and 1v1 this boss here. Taking the Magicite lead for the time being. Another elemental shield. Thanks game.
Nice. Yeah, Glue has like 15 shields from all those toe cutter drops earlier.
Yeah. That was at least 4 Thunder Shields. Yeah, Turd's been also making a good point. It's hard to do the auction house when you can't just sell everything in your inventory.
Yeah, this flagset doesn't have much sense. You're showered with high tier items anyway.
Oh god.
Chest, so.
Why is this random enemy using launcher?
That's a death counter.
Jeez. Alright, so Auser's Mansion is 2 forced encounters. You could do more if you tell the painting, fight me bro, or if you go to pull down one of the chests, but we really need to get going here, so Glue wants to get his character.
Uses the frog, finds Setzer, aka Celeste.
Hey, you wanted an old man, and there he is.
There he is! I knew it! Every time!
So the question is, who actually is Strago? Strago is Go-Go. So Glue will have his 5th character, and all of a sudden I look like an idiot for questioning going to Auser's Mansion. Yeah, the good thing about Launcher as a death counter is it's not going to actually kill you, right? I'm afraid for death counters that will kill me, because then that just negates all of your hard work. And Glue just wants to get rid of this snail. Oh boy, look at this. Look at this fight.
Oh! Uh-oh.
Oh, we got ice too. We're fine.
Hope the left ones don't explode.
And that is Go-Go, as you could hear by the music. Go-Go's music sounds like an Eastern European track anyway, so kind of makes sense to go with Strago there. Unfortunately, our other runner missing Soldier Skip. They just wanted to show us more of the game, huh?
This is a frog getting a ton of Doom darts from these balloon fights.
Oh god. That would normally be awesome, because they sell for like, you know, 5 digits, but yeah, don't need 12 sets of darts. Alright, Glue's gonna do the clock here. So in order to set the clock, you gotta talk to a few people. So minute hand is pointing at the 20, means that 20 is not one of our minute selections. And then there's a bunch of NPCs in the work line over here. And he's not going that way yet.
big shoutouts to Schwanz for putting off that amazing Zozo clock video. That was a
Thank you.
lifesaver.
I just really regurgitated what somebody else had written in the wiki anyway. Alright, so the seconds are 30 seconds, because the hand is pointing at the 6, and since 6 is spelt out in letters instead of numbers, that means it's the clock hand and not the actual time. So we have to convert that to seconds, multiply 6 by 5, and you get 30. Yes, there is math in this stream. Meanwhile, we need more clues, so we're going to go up here and talk to some more gentlemen about what time they're getting off of work. I don't know about National Treasure. Because then I'd be a Nicolas Cage movie. Anyway, 30 minutes, we already saw that there. So 30 minutes, it's not 40 minutes. And it's not 2 o'clock. Or 6 o'clock. Or 50 minutes. I think the ones that we have left are 40 and 10 for minutes. And we have a whole lot of hours left. See, I used to be able to do this in my head, and now I need a piece of paper. Or like a notepad document.
Hey, Chad, raise your hand. Did you actually do the Zozo clock on Vanilla first time you played it, or did you game FAQs like I did?
Menahan pointing at the 4, and since 4 is spelt out F-O-U-R, that means it's not 20 minutes. And this guy says the hours are divisible by 4. So that means that 4, 8, and 12 are all gone. But I think we're left with 10 for hours, right? So we got 10 hours, 30 seconds, and I think the minutes have got to be 10 as well. I don't know, I wasn't paying that good of attention. We'll see when Glue gets it on the first try here, right? Right? Alright, so 10 was correct. There it is, it was 10. So 10, 10, 30. Look at that. He still got it, ladies and gentlemen. Using 3 warp stones here. Just abusing the warp there. Alright, so Jesus the Frog has his 3rd character finally. Hopefully just goes to the South Figaro basement and gets his 4th immediately.
I can see the difference in characters, how much of a difference it made for Glue. It's already 5-6.
Alright, so it's a soldier sprite. Not going to be a character here for Glue. So that means we've got some more bad options for us here, Pero. That means it's Zone Eater, Magitek 3, or Opera House Disruption for our 6th character. And this is not a fun fight either.
Just your average Worlds Collide experience, you know?
Medio putting in work, at least. Counterattack Shrapnel is always fun. Dear Lord.
Yeah, and the bad news is we have a ton of shields that we could break, but they are all Thunder shields, which we cannot use against Goddess right here.
Yeah. Flame Shield will do the trick. Yeah, the Bolt 2 and the Pearl spells we can't really use either. Alright, so that is Realm, aka Mog, or Mog, aka Realm, for Jesus the Frog here. Little Golem action. And Goddess just pulled off a Guile move, the Sonic Boom. Sonic Boom! My voice acting needs work, I know. I'm sorry, guys.
Da, 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 da.
Alright, more boots for Jesus. Give us our Imp Jumper, please. For the people.
Do we have Imp as our magic in any Esper?
Well, we could learn it if we have somebody with Imp armor or titanium or tortoise shield. That will teach Imp at a ×1 rate. So if you stack all 3 of those pieces of gear, you learn it at a ×3 rate, basically.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So all of the pieces of armor will teach the Imp spell. So Imp Dragoon strats are closer than you think, Pero. You just gotta have one of the pieces of gear. So what I usually like to do is I usually like to put the gear onto, different characters so that multiple can, cast Imp if need be. All right, and that's got us down. We do get an Esper for our troubles, so Glue evening up the shiny stone count here. But he's at level 27. Whereas if you look on the other side, Jesus the Frog, his levels are actually higher, even though he's behind in progression. He's going to... he does have to get going here in terms of doing checks and whatnot, but Glue's bosses are harder, and he's lower level. Only by 1 piece of progression, but...
Looks like we're gonna do some opera singing, maybe? And to fight some rats.
Does that work with armor espers? I don't know, actually. And I might be wrong on the imp stacking thing. The tortoise shield might teach it at a different rate. My cat wants to get out, so I'll be back in just 1 second. While we get a new check over here from Glue.
Yeah, we'll see what kind of madness awaits us at the Opera House. Got Jesus the Frog fighting Goddess on the left side. We had a peek at the lords, and they are not too great. Other than, Perlwind and Big Art are not too bad.
Of course, now that I actually open the door, the cat's like, "Oh, I want to hang out with you instead." Thanks, cat. Vanilla Lullaby, kind of odd there. Ooh, this Thunder Rod is not going to be a good idea here. Yeah, so if your choices were Zone Eater or Opera House Disruption or Magitek 3, where are you going?
I would do Zone Eater, probably. Just fight my way through the green guys.
Yeah, I've turned up Glue as loud as he could possibly go. All right.
Got abolishers as the rat fights in the opera.
What are they dropping? Anything good? Let's see. Swordbreaker. No. I mean, if we really, really need calmness protection, they have the best magic evade, I think, of any actual weapon besides the Illumina. But...
Use the frog taking on Goddess, and we approach the opera boss. What would it be?
Alright, new Magicite there for Jesus. My music on my ZSNES is at 20%, because if I leave it at 100%, I'll blow out my eardrums.
Oh, it's our favorite band. Hide on the High Knights. We do get that lore action.
I also don't know how we sound with surround sound on, because I know that surround sound can sometimes screw up the whatchamacallit, the audio volume differences.
We have Jesus the Frog heading over to Jidor, what a ruin. Heading over to Auzers.
Yeah, so they'll get their fifth character here. We still don't know what's behind this opera house. We are listening to, if you could hear it, the grand finale music. I don't know, I just played with some buttons. Let me know if that's any better for audio mixing, volume-wise stuff, but I have glue at 125%, and that's all I can go to in VLC. Oh no, level question flare. Oh god. I always hate when that actually hits. It's just, it feels so bad because there's nothing you could do about it, you know?
It's actually one of the newer flags that was towards Clyde, the randomization of level spells.
Yeah, I think that's like a hidden beta flag. I don't think it's...
As if this flag set needed any more randomization.
Well, I mean, if it did, we could have done that too. And then you get things like level 2 Doom from Doomgaze. And that really makes you want to kill something. Speaking of killing something, Drinks Glue finally taken down Hyden and the Hyde Knights, and you know, as I was mentioning, you know, there's the difference in levels there. I believe somebody learned Merton, so with all of the elemental shields we have, that is certainly an option now for Glue.
Yeah,
Hey,
surprised we get a letter out of Born dropped.
Oh, I wasn't sure if that was Setzer the character or Setzer the default music that plays here. So our answer is not at the Opera House. So one thing to remember is that Drinks Glue has already set the Zozo clock. So he is not going to need to do that again. He is, however, down to 2 different checks for his last character. So, chat, we're going to need your help again. Do we think it's at Magitek 3 or do we think it's at Zone Eater? What do you think, Pero? Where's our last character?
I think we need to fight the awful bridge troll at the Zone Eater.
Yeah. So the unfortunate thing for this is that the skip is only with extra characters. It's not with extra espers. So this is a 3-part check, and the only character can be at the very, very end.
Yeah, this is a bold move, I Glue. Welk on the left side should not be a trouble.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he is also feeling like he's under-leveled and wants to get a couple of bosses underneath him, you know? This is certainly a way to do that. Yeah, he's having not a lot of problem with these random fights, but the bosses have been taking him a little bit. And maybe that's just normalize and distort talking, right? Because, you know, of course, over the course of tons and tons of seeds as a runner, you get used to how long you think bosses should take to die. You know? So.
Yeah.
Alright, so Jesus is going to be even with progression here. Grabbing their go-go. Oh, another statue boss.
And he opens with Womp.
Yick.
Blue does have a bunch of offense against this particular boss. We have Admiral Offering, Bahamut. I think he also has Pearl, so It should be covered.
Yeah, even with phase 2 being an annoyance, right? He should be okay. And here is the opportunity for Jesus the Frog to leapfrog. I'm gonna stop with the bad puns. In this particular race, if he finds a character here, then he's in the lead after trailing behind all game. If not, then we know Magitek 3 is our last character. Actually, no, it's not our last character. We only have 5. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's a 7-9 unlock.
This flag set's unrelenting.
It's not over until it's over. For this one.
Alright, so now we play how many demis are we going to get? And then how many bridge throws are we going to get?
Shoutouts to Moogleplex recently getting the world record for most amount of demis in a row with 21 demis. I don't know, something went wrong there with the RNG.
Yeah, I have no idea. 7 in a row is my worst. And I got it on a speed gaming live stream once. It was just... Yeah. It felt terrible. I was sitting there for a minute and a half.
I had the previous world record. It's highlighted. It's 14.
Oh god.
It's really ugly. Yeah. It's a handy tip if you get into that kind of bad RNG streak. If you throw some magic at Zone Eater, it will counter with Engulf.
Yeah. I thought it was like a chance to counter with Engulf. It's not all the time.
It's like 66%, I think.
Okay, yeah, that's still pretty good.
Better than sitting through 20 demos.
Yeah, maybe after the 5th one you go, alright, enough of this. Alright, so this will be interesting here as Jesus is going to give us our first look at Zone Eater Cave. And will we get our character here?
Yeah, this could very much tip the scales to Jesus' favor.
Oh, there it is. It is Sabin, aka Terra. Oh my goodness. That is huge. Last Warp Stone as well.
Terra opens a bunch of checks, all very nice ones, most of them. And you can chain the Zozo check with the clock, which is pretty efficient.
Yeah, I love doing that if I can. Alright, so what are we going to do first? It looks like we're going to go to Zozo, set the clock, and do the tower check.
Yeah.
I like this idea a lot. We got to go here anyway to set the clock for Kefka unlock. We might as well do this now.
Yeah, it's a great plan. Jesus the Frog is 6'8", so they might get an Esper, a character out of this check, and then they can head over to Pickables for the last piece of operation. So it's not about strat at this point. And with Terra we have Mobilis as a pickable. Also you can pick Welk. So
ooh, a dead check economizer. Yick. That is... I mean, we already have 9 Espers, so maybe that's not bad to see, but still, like... Give me a good item, you know, that I could actually use.
Where's that out of water fish in Jesus? I never seen that that swap. Unfortunately, I had to leave now, but it was very fun doing command. I will be lurking in chat.
Oh, very nice.
For a little bit. But best of luck to both runners. I'll see you around.
All right, well, thank you, Pero, for jumping in the commentary booth. Appreciate you giving my voice a rest for a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
Catch you later.
Always the legend of restream.
Oh, thank you. Catch you later. All right, so... we've got Jesus the Frog here, giving us our first look at actual Zozo. and is Kefka. Meanwhile, Drinkskaloo has to go through a couple more fights here on the minecart, and then he will be treated to 2 different bosses before getting his reward. So the reward at the end of the Magitek ride is guaranteed progression. So it's either a character or an Esper. And for Glue's sanity, I hope it's a character. And for our sake, because it'll make it a better race if it's a character. Just Mertoning down everything now. Maybe he does want that economizer after all. If he's going to use Merton for the rest of the game, right? That's probably a good idea. Alright, first boss is Magimaster at home. And Jesus gets past his boss there on the left-hand side of the screen. Oh, no, it's just an Aura Lance. Well, I mean, we did have to go here to go set the Zozo clock anyway, but you would have liked to have seen at least some progression come out of this check. We're still looking for our 7th character. And the thing is, if there is a character at the end of the Magitek factory here, then Glue's in great shape, because he has that character's checks, or he could just go to the Zone Eater, and we know that there's a 7th character there. And unfortunately, using up the last Warp Stone in the other area for Jesus the Frog means the Walk of Shame back. And this feels awful. This is the worst one. And it is a character at the end of the minecart ride. It's Mog, aka Terra. So Glue getting bailed out there. Wow, that's incredible. So we finally have some route divergence an hour and 13 minutes into the seed. So Mog does open up a couple of checks. He opens up only 2 of them, though. Lone Wolf and the Moogle Defense. And it looks like Jesus is going to go and set the clock here, not being able to warp out of Zozo. And this makes sense. You're either warping out when you get to the top, or you're warping out after you set the clock, or if you're in Glue's case, you do it both. So now Glue can do a quick, easy peek of Moogle Defense here and reset if he does not see the correct sprite. And that is Gao, so that is the last character there. That is actually going to be Locke for Drinks Glue, and that will put him in go mode when he is done with the Moogle Defense. Meanwhile, Jesus the Frog has to find his 7th character and his 9th Esper. We'll see if he can do that at the Welk spot here. So the things that he has left to do with his characters of Terra, besides the Celeste stuff, is he's got Welk. He has Sealed Gate Cave. He has Mobliz, which you could actually talk to the little girl and find out exactly what the reward is there. Or you can go down the Leet River. And an hour and 15 minutes into your seed, I don't think you want to go down the Leet River. And there's another character for Jesus the Frog. So 2 different paths through this seed here. He's going to be getting Shadow from this spot, but unfortunately, he has to go up against Magimaster. He does have access to Flare, though. And I think Mog has got the Atma weapon, maybe? I'm not quite sure. But we've got Flare, so this should work for a while against Magimaster here. Meanwhile, Glue going up against Toilet Atma. With random ability scaling is never fun. And there Jesus realized that he does actually have Berserk. You could still use Berserk now, and it would still work. But Flare and Meteor will also do the trick. Those are non-elemental spells that ignore magic defense. And that there is Lock for Drinks Glue, and that will be his go mode. And there goes Magimaster down for Jesus the Frog. Very nicely done. Probably wouldn't have been any faster with Berserk, but definitely a bit safer. Who the heck did I say was... That's actually Shadow. So Celeste is Shadow. And Glue's our first runner into Kefka's Tower here. Jesus the Frog just needs an Esper, so... Since he's got all of Magitek left to do, that would be a good place to hit up right about now. One of the more difficult things with this flag set about doing Kefka's Tower is remembering who is who here in the lineup. It looks like Jesus might be going to purchase the Zen Thief. That is certainly something you can do as well. Let's see, does he have enough money? No. And he can't sell anything. So he has to hope that it's good in the World of Ruin. What's he at? 32,000? Well, buying more stuff certainly is not going to help you get more money towards the Zen Thief. So Glue's levels are finally looking to be about right. That the Magitek factory ride definitely helped out his party. You know, having all of those forced encounter checks. Let's see if we get a Magicite here at Gao Manor for Jesus the Frog. And no, it's an Edgar. And who is Edgar? Edgar is Strago. That's another character for Jesus the Frog there. Not the right character, but remember, if we do get 9 characters plus actual Gao, then we get Skip. Cave at the Veld is also a good choice here. We can peek this check. If there is a Esper on the ground, then that's exactly what we want if we're in Jesus' shoes here. If it's a NPC sprite, then that means it's a high tier item. If it's a character sprite, then the character that he is looking for Skip is Umaro. So if it's Umaro lying on the ground, then he's going to get Skip. It's not, it's an Esper, so he will get Go mode. As soon as he's done with this boss. Meanwhile, Glue making his way through the tower. Finally getting back to his first party here. Using that economizer with the Merton strats. And it's Guardian here for Jesus at the Veld spot. Mog, unfortunately, a little low on HP for those Atma weapons. Using all the right types of spells here. I don't think we have very many cure spells, so Jesus is going to cast an elemental magic on himself with that shield. That is also a way to heal your party, folks. Ooh, not a boss you want to see in KT, the tentacles. So Merton is going to do a fire and wind AoE attack. So the bottom right tentacle absorbs fire. So that one, unfortunately, is not going to take any damage. However, the others are certainly going to fall victim. And Jesus the Frog picking up his 9th Esper. That is going to be his go mode. Zone Seek at the end here. Another Merton takes out another tentacle there. Ooh, Illumina in a little barrel there outside of Thamasa. That's always nice to see. Hello, random best defensive and offensive piece of equipment in the game. Alright, so Jesus the Frog with 8 characters is going to go peek here. And if this little girl says you're not going to take Umaru away, then that means we're going to go get our skip. So I like this play here from Jesus the Frog. Trying to leverage the fact that he got an extra character. And it's an Aura Lance. So no, we are not going to take that away. Alright, so Glue is out of the Tentacles fight. That's one that you are always happy to get past in Kefka's Tower. Because they slow you down, they can grab you and waste your turns. They're basically a big waste of time, which is why I hate seeing them. It's not that it's ever really all that difficult of a boss fight, it just takes forever. And I don't know if either one of these runners is feeling behind or not, because for Glue, he had to go all the way to the end of the Magitek factory to get his character. I believe he did more checks than Jesus. Let me check it out here. 17 checks for him. Nope. Jesus did 18, but he also has an extra character. Alright, so there's about a 7 or 8 minute difference, I believe, in between our Kefka Tower dips here. Just doing the puzzle here. And again, one of the hardest things about this flag set is remembering who's actually in your party. Because the names on the tracker are different than the names in your party. And it gets even worse when you get to the Kefka pick your party screen. I had to write mine down. Because I knew I was going to forget it otherwise. Alright, so into the boss gauntlet here for Drinks Glue. We'll see which one of these 4 bosses is going to be up first. FF6worldscollide.com, by the way, if you're interested in playing the game for yourself. And we got a relatively easy one with number 128. Will absorb ice. Thankfully, Merton is not ice, so this will definitely do some damage here. There we go. Atma Weapon Offering coming in clutch now. Now that we've got some more levels underneath us. I think that's what Glue needed, was just a long extended trip on the Magitek factory car ride. Alright, so here comes the Tentacles fight for Jesus the Frog. We'll see how he decides to do this. More Atma Weapon Offering from Mog. Using Meteor to clear out this party. That will certainly do the job, because Meteor is not elemental, so That means none of the tentacles can deal damage, and unfortunately, this is why I hate the tentacles fight. So with random scaling on, that can happen where they could cast Pearl. And see you later, Celeste. Sayonara. Nice to know you. But this is the part that is the more frustrating and annoying part. It's the constantly being slowed and then being grabbed and wasting time and wasting turns. This boss stinks. Ultros 1 come into play here. And I think he's going to go bye-bye after this turn. Although, remember, with Normalize and Distort, the bosses are going to be a little bit tougher than we think they are. So middle path clear here for Glue. Very nicely done. Unfortunately, Jesus does not have any direct damage here. It's all either offering or AoE attacks. And this fight is just chewing up time. So the bottom left tentacle is actually weak to instant death, so you could use instant death. It's also weak to fire and absorbs ice, whereas the other one on the bottom right is weak to ice and absorbs fire. And then of the top two, I think one of them absorbs thunder. I can't ever remember which one it is. I think it's the top right one. And most of them, I think 3 of the 4 of them absorb water. So you could think of tentacles as pasta, right? And pasta, when you cook pasta, it does absorb water. So that's a good, sort of helpful hint as to your boss weaknesses, at least for the tentacles fight. And here is Dataluma, who, even with Normalize and Distort, is not going to be much of a problem, with Merton doing north of 8,000 damage per turn for Glue. So this fight can potentially be a problem with Normalize and Distort on, simply because Dataluma's battle script allows him to call up some homies for some outside help, and also allows him to throw things at you. So things can get pretty dicey. Nice enhancer drop there too. Would be good for the Merton using crowd. The only problem with using Merton, of course, is that Girl on tier 3 absorbs every single element, so we can't be just using Merton the entire trip up the tiers of Kefka. Last boss here for Glue, as Jesus is going to make his way through the tower here. So Glue definitely in the lead. However, one false move and we could be in a bit of trouble, as, Kefka with Normalize and Distort can be a problem, as me and Pero Kenadis were talking about earlier. Anthony's got our baseball score highlights up. I wouldn't be too worried about the Dodgers losing a regular season game. The regular season doesn't matter much for them. I would have said that at the beginning of the season for my team, the Yankees, but things sort of fell apart rather fast for them. Crane's fight is getting a little annoying here for Drinks Glue, as thankfully the Cranes usually shoot magic at one another to buff themselves up, but with random ability scaling, the Cranes can actually end up hurting one another instead of helping one another, which is what you almost saw there from the W-Wind cast, which is pretty hysterical. Alright, so Glue, now on the precipice of Kefka, knocking down all of the bosses here. gain some last minute spells, especially Fire 3 and Ice 3, as Turdsman points out. Fire 3 great for Head on Tier 1, Ice great for Tiger on Tier 2, and we've got about like a 12 or 13 minute difference here between the two runners. And Gogo sort of T-posing there up into the Kefka fight. Gotta love when those graphical glitches happen. So now it'll be just up to Drinks Glue if he could actually remember who the heck is in his party here. It's also one of the difficult things about this seed. But here we go, on to the final Kefka battle here. We're going to try and instant death that long arm. And then fire for the top arm. Or the head, rather. Ooh, unfortunately, X-Zone. 60% of the time it works every time. So Merton is also a viable strat here. Because the head is weak to fire, the long arm is weak to wind, and that other balled up fist is weak to water. So Merton will deal more damage to those other two parts, which we want to kill first. The problem is if you kill all three at the same time, then you're in for some rough shape. So you kind of want to be careful when using Merton a little bit, that you don't overdo it. And Gogo getting stoned on the job. Oh no, I don't see a soft in there. I do see a remedy, but it's his only one. Well, he's got to make the decision now. If he wants to burn this one remedy on Gogo on Tier 1, and it looks like he's going to do that. Also notable missing from his inventory, any sort of echo screens to clear train. So remember, Kefka is not susceptible to the random ability scaling rather, that the other bosses are susceptible to. Because Final Kefka is not scaled. However, normalize and distort stats applies to all of the bosses, regardless of scaling. So that's where you get, the sort of weird quirks that come into play with Girl having a lot more HP than normal, or sleep spells doing a lot more damage than normal. Yeah, so Train will inflict a party-wide mute and blind, or dark. And unlike in the vanilla game, we actually fixed the evade bug here in Worlds Collide. So dark is actually kind of bad for your characters who are physical offensive builds, and obviously being muted is bad for your characters that are magical offensive builds. In the case of the Atma Weapon Offering user, though, since the Offering ignores, doesn't care about being blind, it will always hit no matter what. Drinks Glue's Mog will be fine in this case. And Illumina's will also never miss. Same thing with Fixed Dice. So if you have one of those weapons, you'll be fine if you get hit by Train or Dark. If you don't, like if you're using a Ragnarok or a Valiant Knife, something like that, that's when you run into trouble with being blinded. Alright, looks like Drinks Glue used a couple of his shields, thankfully muted magic. I didn't see how badly his X-Zone has failed in this time around. But it looks like he's not even bothering with X-Zone, he's just going to Merton down the boss here. Doing lots of damage all around. The only thing you get worried about with this boss is if Magic and Hit die on the same turn, because Magic can cast quarter, which reduces your party down to 1/4 HP. And then hit, we'll just do 10 physical hits here, which is what this is. And hopefully he doesn't have a lot of attacks queued up, because Shadow just went down there. And in Final Kefka, you actually do not get to carry players through to the next tier. So if you die, or if a character dies in the transition between two of the tiers, they get replaced by somebody on the bench. In the vanilla game, this is probably fine because all of your characters have pretty similar levels, but with Worlds Collide, we are sticking with one main party. And if they go down and we don't get them back for the remainder of the fight, we're stuck essentially down one player on your team. It's like a red card in soccer almost. So I believe he only has Magic left, and since Magic is muted, the only thing that Magic can do is up to 2 instances of Dispel with maybe 1/4. So he's going to get through this part of the fight fine. And here you see Dataluma calling up the homies and throwing things at the party. So this is the part of the battle script I was talking about, when it could potentially get very, very dangerous here. Thankfully, Jesus the Frog taking that out, but that damage output not exactly great there for Shadow and Edgar. Meanwhile, Glue is up to tier 3, and he used Fenrir on the previous tier, albeit one hit too late, because he wanted to have Fenrir for the 10 hits. Using Big Lore, or Big Guard rather, of the lore, and normally I would scoff at that and just say it's a waste of time, but with Normalize and Distort, having that cut down both physical and magical attacks by, I think it's 1/3 or 30% or 25%, some sort of percentage, is definitely going to help here, because this fight can get brutal depending upon how bad the Normalize and Distort has gotten to Girl's HP and Sleep's magic power. So this will be a real test here on this tier, because he needs non-elemental magic to kill Girl, and he's been throwing Merton at the problem for basically this entire fight. So he's going to have to do a little bit of using spells that he normally doesn't really want to. Also don't want to get Sleep into Meteo phase while Girl is still alive. And that is the wrong person to have the W-Wind get, your Atma weapon person. That is just truly awful timing there. Atma weapon, of course, will do less damage when you are missing HP. And W-Wind basically does like fractional damages of your HP. I think it's like, it puts you in critical level, which I believe is either 1/8 or 1/16. It's bad. It's not fun. Alright, so this is a bit of a slow go here for this particular fight. Because like I said, Girl just has a lot of HP, and Glue's team is not really all that well equipped to deal with somebody that can absorb all elements. Sure, we've got Mog with this Atma weapon, and there goes Girl finally. But that is not a targetable piece of offense, and a lot of his party is very low in terms of magic here. He did not fight Magimaster, unlike Jesus the Frog, who did. So he does not have a Mega Elixir, but the Mega Elixir might not even have been the drop anyway, so that doesn't matter. Never mind. Alright, oh my god, a W-Wind getting everybody here. So what he can do is he could heal himself up, or he could use Merton, which will heal part of his party and deal damage, but I think he's basically out of MP for at least 2 of the 3 magic casters that he has. So he's got to be pretty careful here as Jesus the Frog steps on the switches. About a 10-minute difference between these two right now. Because I think Glue went in around 131. Alright, so let's see. Oh no, here comes the Meteo. Let's see what the damage looks like here. 2,600 damage there for Meteo. And the feed drop. What happened here? We got a frozen feed for Glue. There we go. This Merton should hopefully do it. Push him over the Meteo threshold. And I believe that was Calmness and the block there from Golem. Unfortunately, his feed is a little wonky right now. There we go. Let's get him back. Going on to the final Kefka fight. So it seems like he has Palador on one of his characters, so I think we're going to see a jump over Fallen One. Meanwhile, on the left-hand side of the screen, Jesus the Frog here, using Break on that long arm, so the long arm is susceptible to both Instant Death and Petrify, so Break will work on this tier, it just will not work on the next tier. Alright, so that Merton strat that he's been working with all game, it looks like he's going to abandon ship right here. Makes sense when you don't have a lot of MP left on your characters. Meanwhile, on the left side, Dread coming out from the head, and unfortunately that's Mog down, but we do have plenty of things to deal with that. Here comes the charge up for Goner. So now's the time to throw everything you got at the problem. Throw your rods, throw your shields, and we'll see if he's got enough damage here. Was that it? Yes, that was it! With the Ice 3 cast, 143.43. Drinks Glue is your Skirmish winner tonight. Get your GGs in the chat here. Very well played. Nicely done. That unfortunately means that Jesus the Frog is not going to be the winner of our skirmish, so the returners will take this one. But skirmishes are more for the war score at the end when there's nothing else going on. Alright, well, there was a lot of microphone interference on that stream, so we're going to go back to Glue. So we could hear the ending music.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Hey, so we do have Drinks Glue, tonight's race winner, here with me in the booth. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty excited because I don't know if you had noticed or not, but if that last move kill Kefka, I'm gonna die because I don't have any healing. My Emblem's gonna heal Goner, and I have no MP left and no way to get MP. So testing, 1, 2, 3. And I didn't really remember Normalize and Distort was on until tier 3. So
yeah, that could have been real nasty, real fast. That's for sure. So, walk us through, as you're getting towards the end there, you had one remedy in your inventory, and you're like, man, I guess I got to use it here on tier 1, right?
Yeah, I almost reset. Even before that because I had an economizer, and I realized I didn't have any healing or any way to get more MP. Then I checked, nobody had Osmos.
Yeah.
So it wasn't going to be a huge concern because Merton was going to heal 2 people, and then I had like a stash of shields from when I accidentally ran into the toe cutters earlier.
Oh yeah, those.
And then
that fat stack of thunder shields.
Yeah, because sometimes mistakes end up benefiting you, but Yeah, I knew it was gonna be rough, so I was like 50-50 on resetting, and then I used the one. I saw I had echo screens and eye drops just in
Oh, you
case
did?
for
Okay.
terrain, but that one
I
remedy was rough.
Yeah, I didn't see them upon first inspection, and we were speculating in the chat,
But
how bad that could have gotten for you there.
yeah, and then when he cast Dread again, but it missed. If he had landed again, I would have reset.
Oh, for
And,
sure, yeah.
And I couldn't imagine how far behind Keith was, or if he was ahead of me.
Nope, he's about 6 or 7 minutes behind. He's on tier 2 right now. So
Okay. Yeah, because I didn't have. Sometimes you just have a feeling, because I knew I got walled at Kefka at Narsh, and then I got walled again, and then
yeah, that
I
Kefka
just
at
wasn't
Norse
having-
with one player, with one character is just brutal. Thankfully, the boss wasn't too bad there, but that's just that never feels fun. So
I was the first one to unearth that, because I was 99% sure it was going to be Magimaster right there.
yeah, if that was Magimaster right there, that would have been bad. I mean, we were talking about, well, we've got Flare at least, but yeah, that's so. Throughout the early game, you were a couple steps ahead of Jesus the Frog, at least in terms of getting to checks a little bit quicker. And you guys diverged after you found a few more characters when you were going for character number 6. And you had decided, it was down to, I believe, either Zone Eater or Magitek 3 after you had done Opera House Disruption, right? And you decided, I'm going to go through Magitek. And Jesus decided, I'm going to do Zone Eater. And both of you guys got different characters. And then both of those characters led to different other characters. So there were multiple paths through the seed. It just took forever to get there, sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think maybe the way I got ahead real early, because when I ran Gigantos and the South Figaro basement, I had forgot which one had Doom, and I quaked myself, which is always funny.
Oh, that's what that was. I thought that was Gigantos quaking you.
And then I double checked and I got it right the second time. But that death rage or the Doom rage was and then you Gigantos your first fight, that just gets you going.
Yep.
So then I have to fight,
yes.
So
yeah. So tell me about the decision to go Magitek there instead of Zone Eater.
Well, I think I was at what 5 and 8, so I still needed
2
or 5 and 7,
yes.
so I still needed 2 more Espers, and then there's 2 possible Espers on the way. You never want to go to Zone Eater late. It's just a pain. You have to switch out the party, jump down, go out. You don't get any levels out of it.
Yeah.
You got to reform the party, and there's no guarantee. At least with Magitek, there was a guarantee of some progression. And
yep.
If I needed
it, just had to be at the very end.
Yeah, that economizer was the number 24 spot, which if I didn't finish on the first go, I would have had to need it for the second go.
Yeah, that definitely would have helped you. I was like, oh, an economizer is useless. So wait, he just learned Merton. Never mind.
Yeah.
But
so, yeah,
I
just put it on, and
I wasn't sure if you were also thinking these bosses are taking a very long time to kill. I need levels. Let's go to Magitek Factory, because at least I can kill a couple of bosses, get some more grind fights, and get some levels underneath me for the end.
And part of that too was just that's one of the problems with Rage. Rage is great in the first act, but the second act it kind of tapers off. And then until I found that Merton, I was desperate for what was going to replace Rage. So I even at one point that Mog was actually Realm, but she was the only one who could throw that weapon on. Mm-hmm. And then for some reason she had 36 Vigor and like 56 Magic Power. Yeah. If I had known Merton was coming, I wouldn't have done that. Right. But since she's the only one, I just threw it on her. I was desperate for anything besides Mito.
Yeah.
And Fire too.
No, that certainly makes sense. I mean, you can't plot for things that you want to have. You got to go with what you got, Mm-hmm. I'm a little disappointed that we got no Imp Dragoon strats out of either one of you, even though we got every single item for Imp.
I didn't even pay attention to that. I kept looking over that Emperor Albert every time I'd find an enhancer. nobody could wear it.
No.
I'd find a Magus rod and one person could wear it. And I looked at it in a halberd about 40 times.
That's the breaks of the shuffle plus, equipable thing.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on sort of what your approach is to the Zozo flag set with all the different quirks that it has between, normalize and distort, and then monster in a boxes and chests, and you can't sell anything you get in the stores.
I think a good approach. That was my fourth Zozo seed, and I swore the third one would be my last, but the fourth one will definitely be my last. Until tomorrow probably. But
Yeah.
if you notice, at some point I was like, you know what? Why am I checking shops? I will never have enough gold if I find an Illumina or a Valiant knife.
Yep.
So at some point I just stopped checking weapons and armor shops. I was still checking relic shops because earrings are going to be very affordable if you come across them, and maybe an Atlas armlet. And at some point in time in between seeds 3.5 and this one, I decided, you know what, I'm never checking another weapon shop if I can't sell anything. I'm just going to do item shops and spend all my money in consumables and see what happens. And it feels like it was the right move.
Yeah, that certainly makes sense. I can get behind that logic and that reasoning there. So so some of these 2 character start seeds, man, they've been pretty linear and have forced you to do some undesirable things here. Have you been finding that as well with some of these 2 character start flag sets?
Oh, definitely. And they kind of put multiple people on the same path just because of the limited number versus if you started with 3.
Right.
And then unfortunately some of the ones last week, and then this one, and then hey, my dog is done.
Yes, there it is. The boom
Well
boom
done.
153, 58. So yeah, let's see, about 10-minute difference. So about the same when you guys started that fight.
Yeah, so Keith hasn't been playing that long, and he beat me the other day in a race, and for how little he had, well, I don't have that much experience either, but he has even less. He's coming along pretty fast.
Yeah, so I mean that's sort of a testament to our community and getting new players involved and answering questions and pat ourselves in the back sort of things, I guess, right?
Yeah, I love the glue explain what I know to people.
Yep, there you go.
But I forgot what the question was. If it's important, I'll come back.
Yeah, no, we were talking about 2 character starts. I find that with 2 character starts, you get to your character earlier, but certainly that hasn't been the case in some of these seeds, right? Where they've had like terrible options for where your characters are.
And I'll be sure to mention my thought on some of the weekly runs next week for a live audience. But I'll wait.
Yep, so speaking of waiting, Keith the Frog, aka Jesus the Frog, doing his own little Zozo impression here. Congratulations on finishing the seed, and GG's on your time.
Yeah, thank you. I feel pretty good about that. That's closer than I usually am to a more established player.
Yeah, I think that this was a very close race throughout most of it. I think you were a couple of steps behind, mostly due to the fact that you took off the Moogle Charm a little bit more and did some more grinding. So your boss fights were a lot faster than Glue's. It's just that, there was just that time that had to be made up between menuing and taking more fixed and random battles, and things like that. So
yeah, I find it very hard to resist the allure of random drops in Zozo's flags. Plus, especially with 2 characters, I like to really get ahead of scaling. So I want to get to like 10, 12, 14 before I even think about taking a boss. If I can stay 10 levels ahead of scaling, I feel very good about that.
Yeah, and certainly the Gigantos fight in the basement helped out. You were able to take care of that. And then you found the Gigantos fight again, I think, at least one other time, if not 2 other times.
Yes, one other time there's Gigantos. Much faster that time. What I should have done was immediately broken a rod in Gigantos. I wasn't sure how much health he would have that low scaling, but it was too much. I should have taken the rod and taken the fast fight.
Yeah, so the interesting part of this seed basically came down to, we were all like sort of last locationing our characters as we were going along, right? We had unfortunately Kefka at Narsh, and then we got some reprieve with one character in the South Figaro basement, and it got down to when both of you had 5 characters, Glue decided, I'm going to go to the Magitek factory, and yeah, my character is not until the end, but at least I'm guaranteed to get something there. Whereas you decided to go to Zone Eater instead, and you pulled a character out of Zone Eater that was different than Glue's character that he pulled out of Magitek factory. So had Magitek factory not paid off for Glue, I think this race would have been a lot closer.
Interesting. Yeah, I was really liking a character. I think I was 2 and 8.
Yes.
I'm like, there's got to be a character somewhere to see.
Yeah, you went up to
Magitek
Tritalk before you went to Kefka at Narsh to get some more firepower. Because when you're 1v1ing a boss, you want all the help you can get.
I wanted everything before I took that fight. It was that or Magitek Factory, and I could do Magitek Factory, but I'd already done a lot of really long checks, a lot of forced fights.
Yep.
I was thinking, man, if it's City Kefka and Narsh, I'm probably way behind.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't ever feel behind when it's Kefka at Narsh required and it's a party of like 2 or a party of 3, right? Because everybody's going to leave that until they have more characters. And then the other annoying thing was, you both had to go set the Zozo clock in order to unlock Kefka. One of your characters, I think the one out of Zone Eater was Terra. So you went to do her Zozo tower check, and unfortunately, that was a dead check. Had that been, an Esper and not dead, that would have certainly have sped up your time into KT as well. Because, like I said, your levels were higher than Glue's for the majority of the stream until he caught back up with Magitek Factory, right? So that's sort of how it is.
And also, I ran out of Warstones and didn't notice.
Oh yeah, yes, that didn't help either.
Walk out.
The walk of shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is what it is. So, what's your sort of approach to these Zozo flag sets if you have one?
I actually kind of do. I've been doing a bunch of them. I really like Zozo flags, so I've done probably 5 or 6 Zozo seeds now.
You are the only person that likes Zozo flags, so continue.
For real, my friend.
So I like to take a few random fights early, 1 or 2 different encounters in each area, so I get a good feel for where the drops are, get some early levels.
Yep.
Save as often as possible. That's basically my strategy, and then it's pretty much normal once I get past like the 15-minute mark. I've got like level 12, 15, got some good items. I really like Zozo because it forces you into kind of a low resource environment.
Yep.
You can't rely on buying things from shops. You can't rely on buying consumables.
Yeah, because you're gonna run out of money.
An experience egg or an Illumina or an offering. You can't even buy Phoenix Downs and sleeping bags. So you gotta make do with what you have. And I really like that challenge of seeing what fights you can get, seeing how you can deal with them without being able to rely on much of anything.
Yeah, I really dig the shuffled drops and the monster in a box things. I do not like the shop aspect of it, but I can understand forcing people to dig in chests. I think the 100% random chests is enticing enough that you don't need the 0 cell shops. But hey, that's what we do it here.
Like quarter cell shops would probably be okay. Probably good enough. You can still buy it.
Even 1/8 is still
1/8. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I really like the characters, sprites. I think it's fun. I really love Y Sketch. I think Y Sketch should be on all flags. It's the best. It's the best setting.
Just Y random. Just turn things into other random things. Of course.
Exactly.
For sure. So question for both of you guys. So for Glue, what's something that you did in your race tonight that you want to do going forward, and something that you want to not do going forward?
I think I've told you this before, but I really wanted to make like a Quizlet of all the rages and what they do. I know there's a spreadsheet on the wiki, but I think a Quizlet would really
Yeah.
help you iron theirs out because sometimes they're so situational when there's 25 of them.
Right.
But there's always one or two lurking that could help you out in a situation, and a lot of people don't realize it. And that situation with the Gigantos was one of them tonight.
Right.
We came across one on another stream where Falcon Hit was berserked, and his character auto-triggered one that triggers a fractional damage attack.
Yeah.
And wiped out Marshall and some wiped out a nasty encounter for him.
Some
just by
goons.
dumb luck. Yeah. So that's one thing I'm gonna get around to, if not for myself, just for the community. And one thing I don't want to do is never run another Zozo seed again.
That's it.
That's what you
That's
said
it.
the last 2 times.
Yeah. You challenge me again tomorrow.
Every
to
time
run
I think I'm
without
done, they
dragging
keep dragging me back.
anymore. Yeah. Any other Keith says Zozo, I say no, but
Yeah.
Keith the Frog, I'll do it.
Only you. So what about you, Keith? Something you want to do, going forward, and something you don't want to do, besides buying warp stones.
Yeah, well, I agree about the rages. I generally glance through rages, try to memorize like 1 or 2 that's a good AoE spell, and then don't worry about it. Do I have Stray Cat? Can I cast like Aqua Rake or maybe Bolt 2? And that's all I can hold in my head. So getting better rages would be good. One thing I want to do is get better at remembering what spells I have. Like I had Berserk.
Oh
I
yes,
have Berserk
yeah. For
from,
the
like, level
Magimaster
4.
fight.
I ran Magimaster, didn't think about it.
Yep. Yeah, when he came up, I'm like, oh, this isn't a problem. We have Berserk, and I'm like, wait, did we actually learn it? And then after you had already almost beaten him, you're like, oops, yeah, here's my Berserk.
Yeah, well, I cast one spell. Now, like, wait, I have Berserk.
Yep.
So I just went into the menu and stared at Berserk, being like, it's right there, man. This is the one use.
That's all right. We'll get him next time. You could also use it on the Gold Dragons, so there you go.
Where's
There's another use of
Magimaster at?
Berserk. I don't even
Where
remember.
was Magimaster?
Was he at Welk spot? It was one of
Welk,
Terra's checks, I think.
Welker Zozo Tower, because it sounded like you went to.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was at the very end.
It must have been Zozo. Yeah.
So, all right. Any other final thoughts? We'll start with you, Glue, on tonight's race or Battlegrounds in general.
Yeah, I believe we're gonna have another event tomorrow. So if you're listening and you would like to participate, be on the lookout for that tomorrow. Or if you'd like to view, also be on the lookout for that. Be on the lookout for that tomorrow. And then what do we have? We have another event Thursday where we have a submission for an event Thursday. So we have 2 more events coming back to back these next 2 nights. So
Nice.
Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen.
Awesome. Keith, any other final thoughts here?
Yeah, well, I would say, just as a general note, if anyone's watching and enjoying FF6 Worlds Collide, it seems pretty intimidating. There's a lot to get going to get into it, but it's really not too hard to start playing. I really recommend it. And also, if you're not in Battlegrounds, I really recommend looking up the flags, rolling some seeds, and just playing anyway, because they're really fun flag sets.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys as well for volunteering to be on Restream. Can't have the races without our runners, of course. Also, thank you to Pero Que Nariz for hopping in the booth for a little bit and correcting my Spanish, because I forgot what frog was in Spanish. It's embarrassing, I know. And we'll take one last look at the Battlegrounds map for this week. So we do have the returners holding 3 of the Eastern territories. So the Eastern Empire is open and available. So that's one of this week's flag sets, as well as Triangle Island there in the upper right-hand corner is hot and able to be controlled. For the Empire, they do have Dragon's Neck and Zozo on the west and can open up the Kingdom of Figaro if they capture Jador, which is another one of this week's flag sets. But they also have to hold on to Zozo, which we just saw with tonight's race. So those are the 4 flag sets that are up for grabs here this week of Battlegrounds. So that's where we stand. I'm hoping to get my recap video out in the next day or 2. I have the script mostly written up. I just got to splice some stuff together and make it happen. So
I'm looking forward to that.
I think that'll about do it for us here on the stream. We will send you over to Jamian, who is doing the weekly draft async, which is what I was in the middle of doing before I was summoned to do broadcasting duties. So I'm going to go back and finish that seed that is currently paused at the moment. And yeah, if you want to run the weekly draft async, I will probably be putting it out in a day, 2 days, couple days. So anyway, this way, no spoilers for Battlegrounds. Catch everybody later. Thanks again, Glue and Jesus the Frog and Pero Que Nariz. Catch y'all later. Bye-bye now. And